Hi everyone. Had the school been open, we would have run assemblies all week this week to mark a very important date in history. On Wednesday, it marks Holocaust Memorial Day. Now, the reason we mark this occasion on the 27th of January is because it is the anniversary of the liberation of the death camp and concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. Now, on and around that date, people across the United Kingdom commemorate the people that died in the Holocaust and more recent genocides. The Holocaust was the murder of 6 million Jewish people by the Nazis and their collaborators, men, women, and children. Each year, Holocaust Memorial Day has a different theme. The theme for 2021 is Be the Light in the Darkness. Now, what's really important about Holocaust education is actually rehumanising the victims of the Holocaust. Hitler, the Nazis, and their collaborators wanted to dehumanise the Jewish race, to make them look unhuman. So that's why it's really important that we remember the victims of the Holocaust as people, with stories, with families, as a community, instead of a number, instead of a death, but actually thinking about the lives they led beforehand. The first thing that we're going to look at is resistance and how people resisted and fought against the events of the Holocaust. Now, for us, resistance might mean fighting back, but you'll see through the different case studies that we're going to look at is that resistance meant so many different things. The first case study that shows resistance is seen in this photo. Now, this photograph shows a group of partisans in Vilna following the liberation of the city in 1944. These partisans used forests as a base of guerrilla fighting against the Germans. Another example of resistance is this man here called Yura Livsheets. Yura was a Jewish medical student and a member of the Belgian resistance. On the 19th of April 1943, Yura and two non-Jewish friends succeeded in stopping a train carrying 1,631 Jews that was on its way to Auschwitz-Birkenau. The three young men were armed only with a pistol, a pair of wire cutters, and a lamp covered in red paper to make it look like a stop signal. Now, those two examples are probably what comes to mind when you think about resistance against the Nazis. You probably think straight away of fighting the Germans like they were in Vilna, or rescuing people off of a train like Yura. Now, the next example is slightly different, but I think it's important to realise that resistance didn't always mean fighting, but it meant resisting what people were going through in the events of the Holocaust. And what you can see in this picture is a flask. Now, this flask was found in Auschwitz-Birkenau. This photograph shows the remains of the flask, and it was discovered near the ruins in one of the gas chambers in Auschwitz-Birkenau in 1980. The flask contains a letter written in 1944 by a Greek Jew. Now, other things have been found in Auschwitz-Birkenau that had been buried under the ground in the soil. Things like notebooks, letters, explaining what was going on in Auschwitz. Now, although that might not seem like resistance in fighting with the Nazis, but it's resisting that dehumanising process that the Jewish people were going through the Holocaust. Now, there is an honorary list called the Righteous Among the Nations. Now, the Righteous Among the Nations is an honour used by the State of Israel to describe non-Jews who risked their lives during the Holocaust to save Jews from extermination by the Nazis. Now, the first person we're going to look at who rescued Jews from the Nazis is a lady called Corrie ten Boom. During the war, they used their home in Amsterdam to hide people hunted by the Nazis. These included resistance fighters and Jews. The family built a small hiding place behind a wardrobe in Corrie's bedroom where 6 people could hide as long as they stood up and didn't move or make a noise. When danger came, a small bell would ring and the refugees had to run into the space with all of their belongings until it was safe. Through their action, Corrie and her family saved about 800 Jews and protected many others who were working against the Nazis. The second person we're going to look at is a man called Leopold. Leopold was a sewer worker in Poland. In 1943, Leopold, while he was working in the sewers, came across a group of Jews who had escaped from the ghetto. Leopold and his colleague said that they would find a safe hiding space for them in the sewers and provide them with food, only if the Jews gave them money, and they did. Now, it came to a point where the Jewish money ran out, but Leopold and his colleague decided to continue protecting the Jews and use their own money to pay for supplies. Leopold's action saved the lives of 10 people. Corrie protecting 800 people, Leopold protecting 10. These are just examples of the many people who risked their lives to protect the Jews from the Nazis. Now, the third and final part of this video is thinking about justice after the Holocaust. Now, all of you will be able to recognise Adolf Hitler. Some of you will be able to recognise and identify some of his henchmen and leading Nazi officials. But what's really important to remember is that the Holocaust happened not only because of leading Nazi officials, but it was a whole network of people that made it happen. From organising trains getting to Auschwitz, to people picking up the suitcases once the Jews actually had got to Auschwitz and got to the camps and gone through the suitcases to get valuables. All of those people played a part in the genocide of 6 million Jewish people. And what should happen to those people? Thinking about justice after the Holocaust raises questions about whether justice was really served and whether it could really ever have been served, given the scale and nature of the crime. These are questions we are still asking today. So Holocaust Memorial Day is on Wednesday, the 27th of January, and this year's theme is Be the Light in the Darkness. Hopefully this video has helped you gain some human stories to the events of the Holocaust. Those people that resisted, rescued, and thinking about justice after the Holocaust. Thank you, guys.